Hello guys, in this video I am going to show you how can you create a ECS cluster, ECS task, ECS service and connect a ECS service to application load balancer, and how can you access the ECS cluster contents from the browser in a secure way. So at first we have to create a cluster. So come to Elastic Container Service and click on cluster, then click on create cluster. Now we have multiple options. One is ECS Fargate, means it is serverless. Serverless means the server will be managed by AWS itself, and here EC2 instance plus networking, and here it is EC2 Linux, and here it is EC2 Windows, means here the EC2 instances will be managed by us. So in this video I am going with EC2 Linux plus networking. So click on EC2 Linux plus networking and click on next step. Here you have to give a cluster name. I am giving demo cluster. Here we have two options, one for on-demand instance and the second one is pod instance. So I will go with on-demand instance, and here in the cluster name it is showing an error that we cannot use the underscore. So we are using only demo cluster, and here we have to select the EC2 instance type. Here we are selecting t2.micro because it is in a free tier, and number of instance I am going with 3 instances, and EC2 AMI ID I am going with default one. Root EBS volume I am keeping it 30 GB, and for the key pair I am selecting none here, and here it is the networking section, means the VPC section. Here we can create a new VPC for this cluster, and we can also use some previously created VPC, but here I am going to create a new VPC. And when you select create a new VPC, then we have to give the subnet CIDR block and VPC CIDR block also, and here I am going with default one. Here one VPC will be created using this CIDR block, and under this VPC two subnets will be created using these two CIDR block. And here for the security group we are creating a new security group, and we are allowing the permission on port 80. Now keep everything as default, click on create. So it will take few minutes to create a cluster. We have to wait for that time. Refresh the page again. Okay, now here you can see that the cluster has been created. So click on this, and here you can see that our cluster status is active. Now we can create tasks and services here. As it is a new cluster, so there is no task and there is no service. After that we have to create a task definition file. Here click on the task definition, click on create new task definition. So we have created the cluster for EC2. So for the task definition we also have to create the task definition for EC2. Click on EC2, click on next step. Here you have to give the task definition name. Here I am giving demo task. task role none, network mode default, and here have to click on add containers. Here have to give a container name. I am giving democon, and here you have to give the image URL. So in this video I will pick the image for ECR. So to do that I have to go to the ECR, click on service and click on elastic container registry. Now I have this image called ng1 and here I am copying the image URL. After that paste the image URL here. Now add the memory limit, hard limit at 1 to 8, and for the port mapping, here for the container port we will give 5000, but for the host port we will give 0 because we will do a dynamic port mapping as we are attaching a load balancer with the service. For that the dynamic port mapping is the best option. Now scroll down and click on add. After that keep everything as default, click on create. So our task is also created. Now come to the cluster again, click on the demo cluster. Now we will create a service. Also we can create a task also, but for the task we cannot do auto scale and we cannot use that as replica set. Means just as an example, if you compare the Kubernetes and the ECS cluster, then you can compare a single pod with task and you can compare the deployment and horizontal pod auto scaling together with service. Although they are not exactly same, but for understanding purposes you can compare them. So here we are going to create a service. Come to service and click on create, and here we have created the task for EC2 and we have also created the cluster for EC2. So here the launch type will be EC2. Now the task definition has been selected by default. Here you have to give a service name, demo service, and number of tasks. Here we are giving 2 tasks. Here we are keeping everything as default. Click on next step. Here we will attach an application load balancer. Click on application load balancer. Here you can see that no load balancer is found. So we have to create a load balancer. So click on EC2 console. Now click on application load balancer. Here give a load balancer name. I am giving ECS cluster. And it is a internet facing load balancer. Here we have to select the same VPC where the ECS cluster has been created. So to check that, come to the ECS again and open that in a new tab. Click on service, click on ECS, and then click on this cluster, and here click on EC2 instance, and here you can see the 3 ECS instance. Click on anyone. Here select this, and here is the VPC ID. Scroll down. Here it is the VPC ID, and the end of the VPC ID is AFBF. So come to the load balancer, select the same VPC AFBF, and here when we created the cluster, then we created two subnets. So here we also have to select the two subnets, and it is using default security group, and the listener is port 80. Now click on create load balancer. Okay, it is not taking underscore, no problem. Okay, so here we have to give it target group, but we don't have any target group. So we will create a target group. Click on create target group, and here select the instances and keep everything as default. Just give a target group name as demo. Here click on next. Here no need to do any step, just click on create target group. Okay, so the target group has been created also. Now come to the load balancer section, refresh this load balancer listeners and routing section, and select the demo. Now click on create load balancer. Okay, now the load balancer has been created also. Now come to ECS again and select the application load balancer. Refresh this again and select the ECS cluster load balancer, and here click on add to load, and here we have already created a listener for port 80. Click on that, and here we are creating a new target group. So now keep everything as default, and here for the path just give root here, and in the evaluation order give 1 here. Click on next step. Here we can auto scale our services also. So here just for EC2 auto scaling, we can auto scale our ECS services also. So here if we give the minimum number of tasks, as a example I am giving here 1, and maximum I am giving here 4, and the scaling policy I am going with target tracking, policy name demo policy, and for the target value means the CPU utilization value I am giving here 60%. Now click on next step, click on create service. It will also take some time to create, so please wait for some time. Also here after creation of the service we have to do some modification in the security group, means in the security group of the cluster we have to open all TCP port. So here the service is created, click on view service. Okay, here the tasks are their pending state, and the desired status is running. Okay, here you can see that the services and the task has been created successfully, because here it is in the running state. But if you want to access that, then you can get some timeout error, I think. Just try this. Come to the application load balancer and copy the DNS name, paste that on your browser, so here you can see that it is not working still now. So we have to open all TCP port in our security group. Come to the cluster and select any ECS instances. And now select this one. Click on security and here it is the security group. Here you can see that only the port number 80 is open. We have to click on edit inbound rules and click on add rules. Open all TCP and here you can give anywhere IP version 4, or here you can select the security group for the load balancer, but here I am going with anywhere. Click on save rules. After that, come to your elastic load balancer security group. Also here click on inbound rules, click on edit inbound rules, and here as the source we have to give all access, means anywhere IP4. Just delete this and click on add rule, and here open port number 80 and as the source click on anywhere IP4. Now click on save rules. Okay, now come to your load balancer again and copy the DNS name and paste the DNS name in the browser. Here you can see that it is successful and we are looking here the server name. So here if we refresh this, then you can see that the server name is also changing, means the load balancer and services is working perfectly.